Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today with us on this webinar to discuss basically how our Odoo partners within our Odoo ecosystem will be able to use marketing and sales strategies in a more effective way to be able to reach out to more clients. So before I dig into this presentation and start off with the details, just to introduce myself briefly, my name is Jad Munzer. I am based in Odoo, Dubai. My role here is a partner manager focused solely on the Saudi Arabia market. Previously, I was in the Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Oman, and I've been in the company for the past 3 years. So it's a pleasure to have everyone here, and thank you for taking the time today to be with us in this presentation. So let's start. The agenda for today is going to be covering mostly lead generation and the sales channels that we can have as a partner, what should include within our marketing and online presence, the sales tactics that we can use, and finally, in the end, if we have some time, we'll be able to discuss or maybe have a small discussion if you have any questions, and hopefully we can answer them all for you. So let's begin. Lead generation and sales channels. Throughout my experience, let's say for the past couple of years here in Odoo and managing the partners that we have in our region, there's always a small gap that we used to face, which is partners are not fully capable, let's say not capable, but aren't able to properly generate a good amount of leads to be able to proceed and continue with their, let's say, sales cycle. And as we know, sales is the engine of every company. We need the cash flow. We need the money to be able to sustain. We need to be able to continue. So lead generation was mostly one of the most important aspects that we focus on with our partners. Hopefully, this webinar will be able to cover a bit of details. It's a bit of a high level on lead generation cycle. Of course, maybe we can do some other webinars in detail, but this would be covering from a general perspective. So what are the lead generation channels? If we want to just segregate them into, let's say, in a nutshell, they're into two categories. We have the inbound channels and we have the outbound channels. What is the difference and what do we mean by each? Inbound channels, if you want to put it in a small summary, is that when a client is reaching out to us as a company and they're interested in what we have to offer as a service. Outbound channel is when we as a company reach out to a client and the client, for example, could not have heard of what you offer as a service or what the company is or who the company is. So what are some of the channels that we have from the inbound perspective? We have the partner page, which is the partner page that we have on Odoo's official website, the partner's website, their own website, anything that we do from a digital marketing perspective, and networking and events. We're going to be digging in more detail in regards to every channel, so hopefully we'll cover everything in more detail. Outbound channels is everything that has to do with us reaching out to the client or the client telling a different client about us. So there could be a referral program. It could be the sales team preparing an attack list for us to be able to reach out to new clients, reach out to new prospects, checking competitor references, business directories, yellow books, all of these, let's say, types of channels that we can use where the sales team are able to generate leads for us to be able to target. So lots of partners and lots of companies, and mostly the partners I work with, usually have a big question. Does it really work? It's outbound, it's cold calling. Maybe the client is not willing to answer the phone. Maybe they don't want a new system. But I just want to give you a small perspective with the current numbers that we have internally within Odoo, and personally from what I have encountered with the partners that we actually start with the outbound activities and work on it and focus on it. Internally, within Odoo, for the past, I'd say, around year and a half since we actually started actively working on our outbound teams. We saw exponential growth in regards to the resources and in regards to the revenue. The revenue that we had, if you want to compare it from Q4 of 2024 up to Q2 of 2025 this year, we had a growth of 62% Q on Q from Q4 to Q1 of 2025, and Q1 to Q2 of 2025 around 100% growth. Of course, this revenue is going to be diminishing on the long run, but to put it into perspective, around $450,000 is the biggest deal that we closed purely from outbound revenue. This was a client that was just sitting on their desk and they got a phone call from one of our team members, and they were able to continue discussion, able to close the deal. What about resources? Resources, currently we're projecting to have around 130 employees by end of Q4. This is just the outbound department, regardless of any other department that we have within the company. So Q4 of 2024 up until Q1 2025, the growth was 22% in resources. And Q1 to Q2, 36% growth in resources. This is just a Q on Q numbers, mind you. It's not year on year. So we see the potential, and we are actually putting the investment where it should be for us to be able to reach these untapped markets. And hopefully this would be something that you might be considering as an Odoo partner as well. What's in it for you, for me, for us, for everyone? What's in it for us as any outbound activities that we do? What could it be helpful in? Hopefully this will be able to cover it. So what we can do, and what is the benefit of the outbound activities that we can have, is that let's say, for example, we have a vertical solution, which is manufacturing vertical solution that we have developed, that we have worked on, and we would want to offer it to our clients, but we're not able, or let's say we don't have enough leads within that sector. Maybe our marketing campaigns weren't targeted properly, we didn't join the right events, we didn't have the budget to join certain events. If we are able to identify, let's say, for example, in a specific region or a specific area, around, I don't know, let's say 100, 150 potential manufacturing companies, we have the vertical solution ready. And we might take it even an extra layer. Let's say, for example, manufacturing of a steel industry. We have a manufacturing of steel vertical solution, steel manufacturing vertical solution. We'll be able to identify this list, and then maybe we can go on site visits, we can do some calls, we can do everything that has to do with us, let's say with an outbound approach. This will greatly increase the potential or the conversion rate for us, since we have a ready-made solution, we have the current expertise, and our employees actually speak the language that the client is looking for, which is basically us understanding what they need, their workflow, their pain points. And also regarding this, we're going to be able to discuss it a bit later on. Expanding market reach, as you know, if we are waiting, let's say, for example, on specific people that we know, we have, let's say, specific network, we have our own specific marketing campaigns, I'd say this would give us a small pool in which we can reach out to these clients, or let's say clients understanding who we are and what we offer. Once we don't have these boundaries, we can expand our market reach greatly. There is no limit. If you want, for example, to reach out to even, I don't know, clients in different countries, clients in maybe areas that are a bit further, especially now with our digital era, you can give a call, you can have Google Meets, there's no need for an on-site visit. So everything is possible. We just need to put, let's say, the framework of how we're going to be working and moving it forward. Cost-effective lead acquisition. This is depending on the budget that you currently spend, honestly. Maybe sometimes you put on marketing a small budget, so it's not that big of a budget, but in return you will not get the proper, I'd say, results that you're expecting. Cost-effective lead acquisition is that, let's say, for example, a salesperson will be able to maybe identify 150, 200 potential leads. These are also leads, depending on, let's say, the details that we have, whether it's their phone numbers, their website, their location for us to be able to visit them. So 150 to 100 leads are a good number, where we can hopefully transfer all of these into actual opportunities. So it has a lower upfront cost instead of just having a big budget to spend in regards to marketing, in regards to Google Ads, in regards to search engine optimization of the website, anything that has to do with the digital space that we will be needing for us to reach out to our customers. Selective customer targeting is similar to a similar customer mindset that we have. So let's say we wanted to penetrate, I don't know, a pharmaceutical industry, for example. then we're able to identify what are the number of companies that we want to target, and then we can focus on them rather than just relying on whatever company reaches out to us. Could be in different industries, could be in different sectors. So then we are able to direct our, let's say, attention into a single space in which we are able to have a higher conversion rate depending on our experience, depending on our vertical solutions as well. What are some approaches that we can have for us to be able to benefit from this outbound, let's say, channels that we're going to be using? First of all, there's a couple. These are just some of them. Having an attack list, referrals and networks, local events, competitors reference list, and business directories. Having an attack list is mostly would be the, let's say, the responsibility of the salesperson. They'll be needing to be able to, let's say, do the actual prospecting, creating a total list of our, let's say, customers, our total list of prospects, actually to be able, hopefully, to turn them into clients. And then we'll be able to target them. It could be added into CRM, and then it can be properly managed. Referrals and networks, we can have a referral program where we have maybe, for example, satisfied customers. These satisfied customers will be able to refer other potential clients. Do you have already a good reputation with them? You have a good rapport. This will also be very beneficial, and especially good word of mouth is very helpful, especially in, let's say, specific areas or in specific countries such as GCC. Local events, this is hugely undervalued in my opinion. We have a lot of events that happen throughout the year in every single country in GCC. We have in Dubai, we have in Qatar, we have in Saudi, we have Leap, Seamless, Jitex. You have lots of these big events, and then you have small events, maybe the road shows that we have with Odoo, maybe other small, let's say, regarding to the F&B, regarding to the real estate or construction. So it depends on what we have as an experience. Then it goes back to the vertical solutions that we have. If you have a vertical solution made, let's say, for the manufacturing and steel company that we were discussing previously, then joining these events would be very beneficial because you will be able to speak the language of the client, and you have something to show them on the spot. You'll be able to capture their attention. Competitors reference list. This is something also as well that is a bit out of the box, but I'd like to use it, especially since if we want to compare, let's say, clients that are using different ERP systems that are a bit on the, let's say, bigger budget side, such as Oracle, SAP, Dynamics. These kinds of companies, hopefully now in the future, and in my opinion, it will be even showing even further, since Odoo has the functionalities similar to some of these big ERPs. Some of these clients are willing to migrate. And we had a couple of, actually me personally, I had a couple of clients that did actually migrate from Oracle and SAP to Odoo, and they're very happy. So these are some potential clients. These are some, yes, big enterprise level clients with a larger and longer sales cycle. But this is somewhere, let's say, we can focus on as well. Business directories, you have a quick access to a wide potential of, let's say, a wide list of leads that you can be using, which can also save time and resources. What are the tools that we can use to be able to generate these attack lists or know who we need to target? There are some online tools that personally I'd like to use. I'm not going to dig into the details of them now. I'll just give you a brief idea about what it is and how it can help. So LinkedIn is one of the easiest, let's say, tools that we can be using. Having a LinkedIn Sales Navigator helps a lot. So within LinkedIn, if you actually do the search, you have some filters that you can use. You can find specific companies that you want to target, for example. And within the company, you can find specific people that you want to target. Maybe it's a C-level, maybe it's a decision maker, maybe it's a managerial position that you think might help within the sales cycle. You'll be able to reach out to them, maybe try to communicate with them every once in a while. And hopefully down the line, this could translate into an actual opportunity that we can be working on. Another tool, personally, I really like this tool, which is Apollo.io. So Apollo.io is a full platform in which you'll be able to also download a Chrome extension for it. Within this platform, you'll be able to put a lot of filters. So for example, we want to get a list of the manufacturing companies that we were discussing about, steel manufacturing companies. As you can see here on the left side here of the screenshot that we have, there are a list of filters that we can add. We can add a place, an area, a region, and from there we can add maybe the size of the company, the number of employees, the industry it's in. And then as you can see on the right, you have a list of companies. This list of companies could be the attack list we were discussing about. Each company that we have on this list, you'll be able to open their website, you'll be able to open their LinkedIn, you'll be able to see their employees, who's the managerial level, who's the C-level. And from there, you'll be able to have a full list in which you understand who you will be needing to approach first. And from there, you can take it. It's a very helpful tool, and I use it mostly every day of my work. Another tool is Instant Data Scrapper. So Instant Data Scrapper offers the capability for us to extract information of the companies, which could include the details of the person, their addresses as a company, and all of this will be asserted from Google Maps directly. This will be able to give us, or let's say, give us the potential for us to compile a huge list directly through extracting it using this tool. It needs some, let's say, fixing down the line just to make sure everything is correct. Maybe the numbers are landlines, but at least you'll have a list that you can use, and then you can cross-reference it with Apollo and with LinkedIn. So consider these tools as a completion of each other. They don't work separately. They don't work as a standalone. You can have all of this mix, and then you can add to that as well site visits. I know site visits is a very important aspect, especially in our region. Once we have the location, once we have the name of the company, we have some of, let's say, the people working within the company, then our approach will be different. We know their industry, we know who's working inside the company, we can ask for that person. So the approach would be different than just knocking on doors. How to measure effectiveness. This is more towards how you can manage internally with your sales team what is being done in the outbound activities that they're doing on every single day. If you want to split it into two, we have the sales development representative and we have the account executive. What is the difference between both? Of course, both, let's say, are within the sales team, but each has a bit of a different, I'd say, role. The SDR, or which is the sales development representative, briefly is, let's say, a person whose full and main role is to be able to call as much clients as possible and qualify as much leads as possible into opportunities. So it's more about giving calls in a volume perspective to be able to transfer these leads that we have onto actual opportunities or interested clients. So how to measure that? We have either the weekly soft KPIs and the weekly hard KPIs. It's, weekly, monthly, daily, whatever you'd like is more suitable. But the soft KPIs and the hard KPIs are: what are the number of leads that are being generated? What are the number of calls? And the CRM management. This is more towards the soft KPI. The hard KPI for that specific role would be how many opportunities have been qualified from a lead onto a qualified opportunity. Someone who's interested, someone who's willing to take a meeting. The number of the meetings and the number of key accounts that were actually transferred, or let's say moved on to an opportunity. The account executive is someone who's handling this cycle from A to Z. So usually the SDR, if we have an SDR and we have an actual salesperson or an account executive, these meetings will be handled by the account executive. So the SDR is just purely volume calling, converting the leads onto opportunities. If we don't have SDRs, we just have account executives, they will have to carry on with the full sales cycle, which is prospecting, getting the leads, and then qualifying these, and then booking the meetings. So it's either being done by one person, or if we have a big quantity, let's say a big number of leads, this is when we might be needing to separate it into a filter where we have an SDR and we have an account executive. So, second part, marketing and online presence. What is online presence? As we said earlier, online presence is through the inbound activities. As we said earlier, the inbound activity is when a client reaches out to us as a company. Outbound is when we reach out to the client from our side, whether he doesn't know, the client doesn't know what service we offer or what company we're reaching out from. So the inbound channels, if you want to, let's say, separate them into a certain approach that we have, it could be separate into SMEs and large enterprise, because as you probably know and you probably have within your experience is that the certain approach that we have to small and medium-sized businesses would be completely different than how we approach large and large-scale enterprise businesses. So in I'd say in our recent approaches that we are currently doing, what we see with the best results usually is that SMEs are mostly, we have a better, let's say, conversion rate or a better results is through digital marketing on social media, through Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Sometimes could be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is more, let's say, on a large scale clients, but LinkedIn is also helpful. Targeted campaigns and specific events that you can be joining. If our main focus is large clients, enterprise clients, big established companies, then this is where we need to have a little bit of a shift within our marketing strategy. Mostly we need to focus on the partner page that we have, the partner portal, because lots of clients actually open Odoo's partner page and they choose partners depending on the listing, depending on the gold partnership, the silver partnership. So being available there is very important, and having a properly managed partner page, very well, let's say, put, so that we can attract the customer for them to give us a call. Google Ads, optimizing the SEO, of course, on the website to have the ranking on the page and all of this. Sponsoring roadshows, sponsoring specific events in addition to having roadshows will actually attract these kinds of clients, because these clients know what they want. In any large business, there would be a decision from higher up for them to be able to, yes, okay, we need to change our ERP. Yes, we have an issue with this, we have an issue with that, let's work on it. So it's a more of a directed approach in regards to finding a specific vendor that they would like to work with. LinkedIn here as well is a very helpful tool. It's more, I'd say marketing on LinkedIn is very helpful, but also LinkedIn has an important aspect, which is credibility. Lots of businesses, or let's say large companies, want to work with a company that is credible, or a company that is well established. So having a proper LinkedIn page, having it well built, in addition to the website and the partner page, gives us this, let's say, image digitally, in which this will be able to add credibility whenever a client wants to reach out to us. Branding. How good is your branding? I hope one day all of us will have a branding as good as Pepsi or Coca-Cola. If you can see, it's a bit known for a number of years, but hopefully we'll be able to reach that. Social media, as we said earlier, it's suitable for SMEs. There are multiple platforms that we can use, such as LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and many others. But these are the main, I'd say, platforms that we can be using, or that you can be using, so that you can reach out to clients. And what's really important here is the content that we use. Lots of partners, they actually put a lot of budget, and they work, and they put in the effort, and they work on their partner, let's say, social media platforms, but rarely with, let's say, I'd say, good results. It's not that we are using the wrong platform, or that it might be the wrong platform, but it's not the case. But if not be that, it could be from the content that we're using. So if we have an image, a still image, maybe the colors are not very engaging, then the client might not be fully intrigued to be able to reach out to you. But on the other hand, if we use content that is engaging, content that, for example, I'm going to give a small example here, generating a small video on the manufacturing company that we have. So the manufacturing and steel vertical that we have, we might know that, say, for example, all of these companies have a specific issue while managing their inventory, for example. So we can record a small video in which we are able to showcase the interface of Odoo as a system, solving the solution or processing it as a workflow. And the client, when they see that and they have that pain point or that problem, it automatically clicks. So it will pique the interest, they will reach out to you directly, and hopefully this will be as a qualified opportunity, hopefully turning on into an actual client. Success stories is very underrated. If we have a client that is very happy and the solution that we built is very, let's say, suiting for a specific industry, what we can do is a success story. Success stories can be done also as well with our marketing team. Some of the videos that you see, let's say, for example, a client, it's usually 3 to 5 minute video where we explain the workflow, what happened in the implementation, how satisfied they are. And this can be done also as well with your clients. And you can do it by yourself as well. So having these success stories, posting it on your website, having the videos, all of this is very helpful, so that you'll be able to have this engaging content that you can post. Targeted campaigns, of course, to specific industries. Professional LinkedIn page for clients to check in the company profile. So the LinkedIn page is, as we said earlier, it's the credibility that gives us the boost of confidence that the client might need for them to proceed with us. So the partner page, this is the partner page in which we discussed briefly earlier. It's on our Odoo's official website. So every partner has an official Odoo partner page that they can use. On it, as you can see on the right side, we have the logo, we have the location, we have the website, we have the number, we have a brief, description about who we are, what we do. We can add our services, our clients, our references, in which we are able to attract the client as soon as they open the page. So 3 main things that we need to have for us to have a clear and successful partner page. It's having a clear service offering, having the references that we have as a partner be very clear with the logos, with the description, and the details that has been done with the client as well. So usually some references are just, let's say, for example, the company is manufacturing steel company and 1, 2, 3. No, what were the issues? What did we solve? What was the implementation cycle? So that whenever a client opens this website, they'll be able to see, okay, I have the same issue. This partner is who I need to be discussing with my next steps to be able to solve my issue and my problems. And of course, the call to action, which is the website, the number, so that they'll be able to reach out to the partner directly. The website is very important. Same. Let's say I say, for example, the details that are involved within the partner page should be used within the partner website, which include the call to action, the service offering, and the testimonials and the success stories. So it's very vital for us to have this on our website. So you can imagine everything that we have digitally, whether it's LinkedIn, the website, the partner page, the social media content, all of this is our image that we need to be working on, which is the brand image. This image is very important, especially in our digital space now. I'm pretty sure every single one of you now, whenever you want to check something, you open directly Google search and you check it. Maybe you open the website of the company to understand who they are, what they do. Should I work with them? Should I not? So put yourself in the shoes of the client. Everyone is looking for this digital credibility now, and you should be focusing on it as well. SEO optimization, definitely this is one of the main aspects that we need to be working on. This is, I'd say, things that you need to focus on as a priority. Why? Because this is where you'll be able to get the organic leads or organic generation of leads. Instead of just having a full budget to pay for our Google ads, we have certain campaigns for the boosting. So always invest first and mostly on the search engine optimization. Once that is done and set, then next steps would be, if we're focusing on a digital marketing strategy, then we'll be investing in different and other aspects of, let's say, the strategy that we can be working on. So the pages that you can have, this is very important within the website that you currently have as a company. In addition to everything that we mentioned earlier, which is let's say the case studies, the testimonials, the call to action, the service offering, all of these details. It's very important for us to have specific landing pages in which it might showcase the vertical solution that we have. So we can have a drop bar on the right side, left side, whenever you see is fit. From there, it can have a drop down, let's say, for example, regarding manufacturing steel company or manufacturing steel solution, accounting solution, HR solution. All of these are different landing pages in which you are able to properly manage, and this will also boost your maybe the searches. You will be able to have the fully optimized more and with more keywords being added. So this will be able to also boost the website's reach, hopefully, and generate more leads. Okay, roadshows. Odoo Roadshow is a very important, let's say, event that you can be joining. Some partners also underestimate the benefit of the roadshows. Recently, we've seen a huge, I'd say, growth in the number of attendees that we have in our roadshows. So I'd say between last year and, if you want to compare year on year, me personally, because I've been in every single one of them in Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, and Saudi, the number of attendees is 100% year-on-year growth. We've grown up to, I'd say, 700, sometimes 800, sometimes even more attendees. So having this exposure is very important, especially if you're penetrating the market as a new partner, or maybe even as a well-established partner as well, to maintain and keep the standing that you have within the ecosystem. Lots of things can be done within the roadshow. You don't want to consider this roadshow as just an event that you want to attend. The roadshow on the other side can be used for multiple other purposes. You can have a specific stand, you can have roll-ups, you can have all of the team there having their laptops with them, go around, discuss with the clients, show them demos on spot. Maybe even you can have a photographer take pictures of the team, pictures of because within the roadshow there's a panel talk for the partners. So whenever you have the panel talk, you get this content in which you can use as well for your social media or within to your website as well. It's very important, and this is a very important tool in which you can use. It's not just, let's say, sponsoring the event as in the event, but what you can do before and after. Having the LinkedIn, let's say, post that you're going to be sponsoring this roadshow. What you do within the roadshow is very important, because some partners, they join the roadshow, they put minimal effort, they don't see results. So it's always depending on the efforts that you put as a partner in anything that you want to see results in. Partnerships. This is something very important. Why? Because, for example, you are our partners. You are our partner ecosystem. So the same can be done with you. You can do the same as we have as a partner ecosystem. You can have a partner ecosystem. The partner ecosystem is basically more of a referral network, but on a B2B, I'd say, level, where you are able to partner with maybe hardware vendors, accounting firms, maybe implementers, maybe other companies that you might have a specific relationship with. This basically, these clients or these, let's say, partners that you have, these companies will be able to refer you a client. Let's say, for example, you have an accounting firm as a partner. The accounting firm, as you know, will have a big list of clients, and they know their pain points. So whenever they do an audit, there would be, let's say, for example, specific variances year on year. The closing of the year is wrong. Why? Okay, they have a bad system, or the system is not fully functional. Great. I have someone who can build you a fully functional ERP system with a full accounting, let's say, setup. Then automatically this accounting firm will be able to refer to you this client, and then you will handle the implementation. How the revenue sharing is done, this is based on the partnership, let's say, framework that you have with these companies. But this is something that you should focus on, as this will generate leads in more streamlined manner. Okay? Some of the things that you can have is these partner programs that you will be able to establish is beneficial both for you and the company that you're going to be partnering up with, because you will be also referring per clients, for example, or there will be a certain revenue sharing model. I would rather, if, for example, this is something that you want to work on as a strategy, set a number or a target of the collaborations that you would be working on. Let's say I want to have 10 companies or 10 accounting companies as a partner by Q2, for example. Work on it, put it as a target, and strive towards it. And hopefully you will bear the fruit of those efforts. So basically, I just want to break down everything into a number in which we can maybe benefit from. Let's say, for example, we have 4 to 5 qualified opportunities per week. It's not a big number. Why? Because if we are doing all of these approaches that we discussed earlier, whether it's outbound, whether it's inbound, the website, the events, anything that we do, we just want 4 to 5 qualified opportunities per week, not more. So on a monthly or on a Q average, if we take a 15% conversion rate for the qualified opportunities, you will be able to close at least 3 projects per quarter, which is a good number, depending on the size of the employees that we currently have, of course. But if we just take into this perspective, we have 3 projects per queue. We add more, we have 20 qualified leads per week. This jumps up to maybe 9, 10, 11 projects per queue. All right, so thirdly, sales tactics. What are the tactics that we can have as a sales team or us as a partner, and how to reach out or how to approach our clients? There's lots of different approaches. We're going to be generally discussing them, generally going over them, and we'll take it from there. So, qualification. This is something that I currently also have faced. We have a lot of, let's say, approaches in which we're trying to finish as quickly as possible. We don't want the client to, let's say, go to a different partner, or maybe the client to go to a different solution, or any of these things that might make us lose the deal. But in my experience, whenever we hasten and we try to close as fast as possible, there will be some issues or mistakes down the line that could affect the sales cycle. So qualification is very important. First of all, you need to know your prospect. So you need to understand the person you're working with, or you're calling, or you're approaching. You need to understand if this person is a decision maker or not. There's lots of times where we have a call with a client and then, yes, I'm interested, but then we find out it's just someone within, let's say, the sales department who's interested in the solution for himself. We wasted our time, we wasted our effort. So we need to understand who we're talking to. What is the character of that person? His attitude, what's his position? And if he understands ERP and his IT knowledge. So, and having this information about the person we're talking with is very important. So basically, before I go on, basically this is whenever we are initiating or qualifying a lead, whenever we call them, we want to understand who they are. We don't just want to see, okay, what you work, what is your industry, how many people are you in the company? No, let's just break it down and understand what they need, and then we are able to target their pain points. So understanding the company structure is very important. So we need to analyze different departments. We need to clearly identify what people are doing internally. Why? Because this will be able to open the door for us to understand their workflows internally. What is the workflows between departments? What is the communication between departments? And it's because all of this will be translated onto an actual workflow on the system. Analyzing the business flows, as we discussed. So how do departments interact? How do they communicate with one another? And within each department, as you know, you have multiple layers, multiple levels. You have the approval cycle. You have specific details that happen within every department. What are the roles of each person? These are very important for us to understand. And most importantly, in my opinion, is the timing and planning of the project. Why is that very important? Sometimes you do the full qualification properly, you understand the departments, you analyze the business flows, you have a full understanding of the client, but maybe that project drags on for a month, 2, 3, 6 months, they put it on hold, then you're like a bit frustrated, you put all of this effort, but it didn't end up closing. So understanding the timing of the project and let's say the timing of the client will be able to help you understand and know what is the priority of the client. Meaning, if, let's say, for example, a client is changing systems, is moving from a certain ERP to a different ERP. If we know that they have their, let's say, subscription renewal coming up in, I don't know, now we're December, in February. So we know that it's a bit time sensitive. The client is willing to proceed the soonest because they don't want to renew on a new system, because they want to pay directly on Odoo subscription and. So understanding this timing gives you the leverage as well. So whenever qualifying the client within the qualification cycle, it's always good to understand the timing and planning. So this all falls back to good pipeline management, understanding your client, understanding their timeline. And from there, you can put the next steps as well. Okay, spin selling. Spin selling is a very nice approach. There's also a very nice book, Spin Selling, if you'd like to read it, and also if you can find it on YouTube as well, a Spin Selling audiobook. It's very informative, and it's something that you can use with mostly, I'd say, every client that you have. Of course, depending on their size and depending the amount of time you want to invest in that client. But this is a very good approach. So we're going to be going over it briefly now. So SPIN stands for the SPIN sequence. S stands for the situational questions, P for the problem questions, I for the implications, and N for the need payoff that the client eventually is looking for. So while qualifying the client within the qualification cycle that we have, first of all, we start with the situational questions. So what is the question that you're going to be checking? You're going to be understanding what is the situation currently that the client is working on. How do you do this? How do you get your approval? How do you send the quotation? How do you do that? You're just understanding their current situation, how they are currently working. How they're currently working eventually will lead to the problem questions. So whenever you're qualifying, understanding how they are currently working, then the conversation shifts from a current situation onto what problems are you facing. So let's say, for example, in a situational question, how do you do your monthly reports or your accounting or your P&L reports and so on? He tells you on Excel. The client tells you that we do it on Excel. So automatically this is a question mark or a red flag in which you can check type, how much time does it take you for you to be able to do this report? Or let's say the accountant, it takes X, Y, and Y, Z amount of time. Okay, great. So now we have a bit of an understanding what are the problems that the client is facing. Once we identify the problem, this is where we are able to see that there are specific needs that the client might be needing. And mind you, here by now, we didn't even mention Odoo, by the way. So now you're just understanding the client, qualifying their requirements, understanding what they need so that you will be able to offer them the solution that they will actually be needing. Thirdly, which is the I, it's the implication questions. So here, the client might sometimes, by the way, not, let's say, have an idea that they are actually facing this issue. When you're able to proceed with this approach, it's more of a consultative approach. You'll be able to identify these issues, and then the client might say, oh yeah, I have this issue. I didn't think of it before, maybe. Or let's say, I thought this is normal. You're telling me it's not. So now you're able to quantify or maybe transfer these problems into consequences for the client. Once the client understands that their current workflow might have specific issues, or let's say it's affecting their efficiency, their productivity, then they're more inclined for new suggestions and new ideas for a new system. The need payoff question is eventually, this is where we are able to direct the solution a bit towards Odoo, or maybe let's say what Odoo can offer as a functionality. So this is where we can showcase the main important point that the solution will be able to offer, which is the need payoff. And from there, these explicit needs will be able to be covered and eventually getting to the benefit. This sales cycle, if we do it with, let's say, most of our clients, then the approach is different. We are not too salesy. We are not offering a solution that they might not be needing. At the end of the day, we are offering a solution that the client actually needs. So once we go into, let's say, the process with this mentality, everything changes. Okay, so a couple of points is making sure the customer is aware of the problem he's facing. Keep the questions open-ended throughout the full cycle. So whenever we start until the end, everything keep it open cycle so that this question will open the doors for a new topic. Understand the current system that they're working on, because from there you'll be able to identify even more pain points. And the main important point, which is the fourth one, is the pain points. So understanding these pain points, and then from there we'll be able to showcase the consequences which the client is facing. Okay? All right, now, so here I'm going to be covering 3 different approaches. These approaches, let's consider them as whenever we do the qualification or we do the call, we will be able to proceed having in mind these 3 approaches. First one is the bent approach. The bent approach is more inclined towards the seller, towards the vendor, so it's more seller-centric. Why? Because we try to qualify leads as fast as possible. Maybe we have a big quantity of leads, and we need to qualify them as soon as possible, not to waste our time. So the B stands for the budget, to understand how much the prospect is willing to spend. Maybe they're willing to spend X number, and then the bare minimum that you're going to be charging this client is a Y, then automatically this is an unqualified lead, so you don't have to waste your time on it. The authority, who's making the ultimate decision? Am I talking to the right person? Is this person willing to give me access to the right person so that I don't waste my time as well? What is the need, which is the N? Does the prospect have, what is the need that this prospect needs for them to be able to move to a different solution? Is there an explicit need or not? And importantly, the timeline, which we previously also briefly touched on. The timeline is very important. Are they urgently looking for a solution? And if not, how we can create urgency. So this is the BANT approach, BANT, budget, authority, need, and timeline. Another approach is the CHAMP. So these approaches are, of course, as a salesperson, whenever we want to approach a client, this will be more of an agenda that when we give the client a call. So when we give the client a call, we have in mind, okay, that I have these 4 points that I need to get by the end of the call. If not, maybe the next call, the next meeting, but at least I have a little, if you want, a roadmap on what I need this call to end up with. The next approach is the CHAMP. So The CH stands for the challenges, to identify the challenges. This approach is a bit more towards inclined the problem that the client is facing. Previously, we just understood, okay, that we need to, let's say, qualify the leads in a bulk amount. So it's more towards inclined toward us, our benefit as a partner or as a company. Here, we're more directed towards the client. Maybe we have more time or more people to be able to take this approach. So then we identify the business problems and challenges, what they are facing with. The A also stands for the authority. Money here is not the same as the budget that we had in the band. Why? Because maybe the client has the money, but maybe doesn't have the budget. Maybe this could be a client that we can maybe sell down the line. So the money is basically how much they are able to invest. So maybe they already have a solution. They already have a budget for their IT, let's say, department. They're looking for a system. So they have the money to invest. Budget comes later on, depending on how the qualification goes. Prioritization for the P is basically, I'd say, where does changing their system, having a digital, let's say, migration or a full ERP falls into within their categories or their priorities or the issue of priorities that they have. If it's on the top of the list, then you know that the client has this sense of urgency and they have it as a main concern and they need to change it fast. If, let's say, for example, they have other priorities, for example, they have a big order of products, they work in the manufacturing of the steel company, they have a big amount to pay, so then the system is a secondary priority. You know how hot the lead is, how fast they need the system, how much you need to follow up on them, how much you need to push. So it's very important. This is the CHAMP approach, which is a bit more, let's say, on a problem-centric approach, which is towards the buyer, which is the client. The third approach is the need approach. So the need approach is more inclined towards the buyer. It's not towards the actual, let's say, problem or towards us as a vendor. Here, the main focus is the buyer. So the need, the N, has a lot of layers. So the need, what are the core needs and challenges? What does the customer need? What are the challenges? Why do they need the system? You dig into these details as much as possible. The economic impact, regardless of their budget, their capability to spend. But of course, this is something we don't want to go blindly into every single lead and doing this. No, maybe we're able to identify their website, we identify their size, we identify the number of employees that they have. So we have a sense of their budget. So we need to put more effort there, for example. So the economic impact is basically comparing or making the client understand and comparing to them the current situation that they have and the outcome that they might be getting whenever they proceed with a specific, let's say, ERP or Odoo, having them as a full functionality and covering all of the requirements. What is the ROI on having a fully integrated system? Maybe cutting, let's say, on, the resources, maybe having more productivity, maybe selling more. So all of this can be quantified into potential missing of returns for the client. Access to authority is not just finding the right person to talk to. It's actually finding someone within the company who can be your advocate, who can be your champion. Always try to find that person. It makes it so much easier to have someone from the client side who is pushing for you, who is always pushing for the system. He's very convinced that Odoo is the right choice. He's very convinced that you're the partner that they want to work with. So having that person will affect, I'd say, the outcome of your sales cycle internally. Whenever there's a board meeting, you have someone fighting for you behind closed doors, which is very important. And you need to have that, especially in large scale and enterprise clients. You always need to have a champion to make sure you at least make it easier for you as a sales cycle and to make sure you get the best leverage that you can on other vendors or other partners. Timeline, any events that are, let's say, that affect the decision. You need to understand what are the things that might affect the decision on moving forward. So understanding if they have a different subscription, different system, maybe they don't have the cash flow, they have a specific, investment that they need to make in specific products, specific machinery. So understanding that is very important. So as you can see, timeline is in every single basically approach that we currently have, or we should have. So it's very important not to miss that. All right, so what are some of the scripts? This is an outbound script. This is just a high level, just for us to have an idea, because I'm pretty sure the outbound approach is a bit different than the inbound approach. Whenever a client is, I'd say, reaching out to us, they're interested, they know who we are, they know what services we offer, we will have a different and completely different approach than we approaching the client. So it's a different mentality. The client is in different mentality. We should be in different mentality. So introduction is very important. Having a good, let's say, the sales team that you want to proceed with an outbound approach need to be properly trained. They should be able to have a script, a number of questions that they need to be able to understand. And most importantly is the next action. Next action is not just only for the outbound, it's both for the outbound, inbound, or actually any bound approach that we have. Why? Because sometimes when I started my sales career, I had this issue as well personally. So whenever I call a client, the conversation went well. He's very interested. I explained to him what we need to do, what's Odoo, what's the system maybe, and so on. And then, okay, yalla, we'll be in touch. And then, okay, what do I need to do next? Should I call him? Should I send him an email? Should I book another meeting? So this is where we fall into the trap. We always need to have a clear next action on every single call, meeting, message, email, anything that we send to the client. We need to have a clear next step. We finish the call. Okay, so next step would be a meeting, or you would like me to send you an email with the discussion, minutes of meeting. Once we do that and we get into the habit of properly having a next action, this is where we're able to see, I'd say, the improvement in our conversion rate and the timeline. Because following up is very important. Following up with the client doesn't, it keeps the interest where you need it. It doesn't go back and forth, and then the client is maybe traveling, and then you know how it goes. Value proposition. Value proposition is also one of the most important things that you should be having as, whenever you have an outbound approach, it's very important to capture the value. If we don't offer the value to the client, he might not be inclined to answer again, or might not be inclined to proceed with us or continue the conversation. So value proposition, having the next action steps, having the good and proper qualification questions, and a very brief and good introduction so that we capture the interest of the client. All right, let's consider that we actually did proceed with the qualification, we did the full details, and the client is very interested. Now comes the part where we need to do a demo. Two things here. Lots of our, let's say, I'd say companies, they try to do the selling without showing the service or without showing the solution. Of course, this depends on the size of the client, but usually it's very preferable that every single client that we're going to be reaching out to and every single client that we're going to be proceeding with, they have to see the system. They have to see a demo for multiple reasons. The demo is a very, it's a selling tool. The demo on the system piques the interest of the client. So avoiding the demo usually does more harm than good. Even though it might take an extra week to, let's say, book the meeting with the client, prepare the demo, get the requirements and showcase it to them. But down the line, once they're more inclined and they're more, let's say, sure that you'll be able to cover the requirements, the faster the sales cycle. So try not to avoid giving a good demo. Giving a demo in general, and hopefully it will be good. So what are the 5 steps of a demonstration? We have the intro and the company presentation. We're going to be digging into them in a bit more detail, but just as a high level. You have the user interface introduction. We have the business flow that the client is looking for. We have the Q&A with the client, and pricing and next steps. So next steps is also important. So step 1, it's the intro and company presentation. So whenever we start with the demo, instead of just starting, okay, let's go to the sales, to the purchase, just take a little bit of time to present yourself, present the company, who we are, why we're doing this demo, what is, let's say, what we're going to be covering in the demo. Give a small agenda. The demo is going to be covering X, Y, and Z modules, which we have been discussing in the past couple of meetings. You told me that you have an issue with managing of the inventory or inventory variances. We're going to be covering it. What are the applications? So having this brief introduction and then starting is very important, because setting the stage and setting expectations is very important, so that the client goes in, they know what they're expecting. They're a bit comfortable since the first minute that they're sitting with you. User interface introductions, which is the second step. Try not to go too fast. Try not to jump between, let's say, screens, between modules, because you know the system, but the client doesn't. The more, let's say, complex we do it, the faster it is, the more they might lose interest or they might lose focus. And this is the last thing that we might be needing. So briefly explain key and basic features. Let's say, for example, open this module. This is the main search engine, let's say the search bar on top, the drop down, the filters, go to the contact form. You see the same, let's say, interface on the top. On the left is the settings, the activities, the chatter, which is something basic just for them to understand the framework and the interface and how it's working. It will make it more familiar once you dig into the actual workflows. Step 3 is where we start with the business flow. So until now, first step and second step, we haven't even discussed what the client actually is, their workflow, what their pain points are. So within the business flow, sometimes lots of demos fail. Why? Because we directly jump into the details. Okay, you wanted to see this. Okay, I'll show you 1, 2, 3, and then you start taking and then putting the settings, and then the client loses focus, or maybe he's not able to keep up. On the contrary, if, for example, we do an approach where I'd say wearing the hat of the employees of within the company. So, for example, dear Mr. Client, I am now currently the procurement manager, and I want to place an order, for example, or the procurement purchase person, and I want to place an order which needs to be approved by the purchase manager. I go to the purchase application, I create an PO, and then when I click confirm, it's going to send a notification to the purchase manager, and then I will put the hat of the purchase manager and then show him what will be the purchase manager view. So having a full workflow actually makes it a bit easier, a lot easier actually, for the client to actually visualize how the system would work and how it would benefit their employees and their efficiency and their productivity. Showing features, honestly, on the system, features that maybe the client doesn't need. Of course, Odoo has a lot of features in which if we want to discuss, we'll never finish. So showing unnecessary features doesn't help. We're not here to sell features, but we're here to sell solutions. We're here to sell a system that the client actually needs. Making the interaction with the client. So if you see them zoning off a bit, ask them questions. For example, do you think this is helpful? Type, okay, I'm going to open the CRM. What's your email, Mr. Client? Put their email, send directly from the CRM to their email. Did you get it? He'll check his phone. So it's more of an interactive demo, capturing their attention. It's always very important to keep capturing the attention of the client. Step number 4, once we do the workflows, we understand what the client needs, we show them what the requirements are, they had some questions about specific workflows, this is where we can discuss them. So once we finish the workflows, just summarize the full flow. So we covered this and this, we checked the purchase person, we discussed the purchase manager, we did the approval, we did the manufacturing workflow, and. Do you have any questions on this? Please let me know. And make sure the pain points that we discussed in the previous meetings are all covered. So pain point is essential in our qualification, in our demo, and then making sure that it's covered so that the client understands that these pain points will be solved if they proceed with the solution. So you are indirectly or directly actually making the client see that these solutions, or let's say this solution, will be able to cover this pain point that they have, or the multiple pain points that they might be having. And of course, ask questions to the client, make it interactive. And I prefer asking questions all the way through, not just in the end, so that it's always interactive. So at the end, you can check, okay, did we cover everything? Do you see yourself using the system? Did it cover your pain points? Is it going to be hard for your team to be able to use it? And. Okay, so last but not least, the wow effect is something that you should always try to do. There are certain features on the system in which the client would just say, wow, okay, that's amazing. What are some of these? You have the studio, in which you are able to customize from the front end. You have the quick website builder. You have the online quotation and sign online. There are lots of solutions that do not have this feature, different views. Me personally, I also like the reporting tool on every single module that you have. Just with the drop down, you'll be able to filter, you'll be able to have specific grouping and then transfer it into a chart, into a pivot table, into a graph. All of this is very intriguing, and especially show the person what, for example, if a finance manager would like to see more numbers, more reports, more, I'd say, numbers. Once you do that, you'll be able to speak his language. If you speak with, let's say, the purchase manager, you want to show him how the purchase application works, how he can get reports on not signed POs. Maybe for the accountant, you show him overdue invoices. So always make sure you understand who you're speaking to and show them what will make them always pique their interest, depending on the person that you're dealing with. Some of the mistakes that preferably we would like to avoid is fast introduction, just presenting the list of applications, explaining every single thing on the system. It's going to be overwhelming for the client, especially if we know the system, you know the system, they don't know the system. So it's going to be hard for them to keep track and focus. Not asking for their feedback. If they ask questions, you say, yes, we have it, but then later on you find out that we don't have it, and then we go into another problem. Moving all over the place, changing the screens, and all of these details. These are mistakes that we need to avoid. We need to, in the same approach as we have for when we qualify the client and when we, I'd say, having this, the champ, the band, the need, or maybe having the spin selling approach, we have a clear agenda of what we need to get from this call. We need to also have a clear agenda on the demo. We need to have these steps fully ticked. We need to be able to understand what we need to do next and make sure that the client finishes this meeting, he is happy, he got at least the answers that he's looking for, his pain points are covered, and we have a next action. So it's very important as well to have a next action every single interaction we have with the client. Okay, so thank you for your time. If you have some questions, please, you can just comment them and hopefully I'll be able to answer them for you. We don't have a lot of time. I think we're already done, yes. But if you have any questions, please, I'm going to give around 5 minutes for that. Thank you, guys. Yes, definitely the presentation slides, hopefully we'll be able to share them. Okay, as a project manager role for indirect partner management, can you elaborate a bit on that? I didn't get the question. Turkish companies don't believe Odoo. Don't believe Odoo as, you mean as a system? Because now Turkey is one of our, I'd say, newly, let's say, penetrated markets. And we have tremendous growth in Turkey year on year. So if we want to compare past year to this year, we've seen exponential growth. It's still a new market, I think, that we have been focusing on, but hopefully within the years, we're going to be able to have more, I'd say, credibility within the market. Shathura, and I didn't get your question fully. If maybe you can just explain to me a bit further, then hopefully I can answer. Any tips for a learning partner started recently? Okay, so this is a bit of a broad question. I'm going to try to, let's say, break it down as much as possible. So, learning partners could be a freelancer, learning partner could be an established company, a big established company. So, as a learning partner, if you can just tell me what we're looking for, and then hopefully I'll be able to reply back to you. What is the typical time for converting a prospect? This is a very good question. This depends on the size of the client. So as we mentioned earlier, we have different, or let's say two types. When we segregated the approaches, we have the SMEs, the small and medium businesses, and we have the large and enterprise size clients. Typically, if we're targeting the smaller clients, I'd say with Odoo, in my experience, we have an average of, let's say, maybe month and a half, 2 months, 3 months, if it's a bit on the bigger size, to be able to convert from a lead into an actual contract signing and payment. The bigger sized clients, when it's a large enterprise, you're going to have to say more than 6 months, maybe sometimes 9 months, maybe even more. But on average, this is basically the difference between the two. Okay, so a one-man show company. Good for you, first of all. I'm glad you're doing this step. As a one-man show, it depends on your budget, honestly. So if we want to try to do it organically, I would suggest maybe if we can have some sort of a, let's say, a digital presence. So maybe having a website, maybe having a good website that we can be available online, so that whenever you want to send to a client a company profile, they'll be able to find the website, be available on a couple of social media platforms, I'd say LinkedIn mainly, just to have this, I'd say, presence online. Once we have that, then if you don't have the budget, I would say purely working as a salesperson yourself. If we are able to do, or let's say implement everything that we discussed today in the presentation, you're able to reach out to clients. You're able to have an outbound approach. Inbound is a bit hard to you at first if you don't have the budget. Why? Because you don't have a fully established website yet. Maybe you don't have the budget to be able to join roadshows, to join events, do all of that. So it's mostly going to be the responsibility on you yourself to be able to generate the leads. So discuss this with every single person that you know. Every single person that they know, they should be able to refer them to you. Maybe have a specific referral program. If a client comes through a specific person that you know, or a specific company, maybe there is a specific revenue sharing model. Outbound activities helps a lot, where you have a full list of clients, you try to reach out to them, you give them a call. So I think if you start there, and hopefully it's more of a snowball effect. Once we get our first and second client, we have a reference, maybe hopefully you upgrade to an official partner, you have the partner page, you can join an event or two, maybe you hire someone, then this is where the ball actually starts turning. I mean, for a project manager role, do they have to do the demo as well, or is it mainly for upselling and cross-selling? No, a demo is needed. I mean, for a project manager role, do they have to do the demo as well? Okay, I understand. So you have two aspects here. It's preferable that the salesperson does the demo. Okay, so doing the demo. Okay. Doing the demo has to be done by the salesperson. The sales cycle has to be done from A to Z. So this person or this salesperson should at least have the basic functionalities of the system, in which they're able to showcase a cycle of purchasing, sales, CRM, website, manufacturing, without digging into the details, without customization, without development, without all of this. So this is where the salesperson needs to do this demo to save time. Whenever we need a functional consultant to join is when we have maybe a large client, a large enterprise client with heavy customization, heavy development. This is where we will need the support of the functional consultant to do the demo, because it's a more of a complex requirement. But as long as it's a standard vanilla requirement, then no, the salesperson should be able to do it, all of it. So hopefully they will be able, as an account executive, to handle the sales cycle from A to Z up until the signing. And then this is when the functional consultant will be onboarded to do the gap or to do the implementation and so on. All right, so we're 10 minutes over. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time today. I hope this presentation was beneficial. And I see lots of people in the comments are asking for the presentation slides. Hopefully we'll be able to share it with you. I'll check with our team and see how we can do that. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day. Thank you.